In episode 12.6 of Unshuffled, we discuss the sixth and to this point final album from All Them Witches. It's called Nothing as the Ideal. Welcome, listeners. Welcome back to Unshuffled, to all our regulars. Welcome for the first time to all our new listeners. Lovely to have you with us. This is Unshuffled, bringing back the album. And it's always a sort of bittersweet moment when we get to the last album of a band, especially a band as good as this one. We've been doing All Them Witches seemingly forever. They've been our companion for over a year now, and I'm going to welcome in my co-host, Mr. Scotty D, to tell us about the album we're doing tonight, the last album that we have to date, although there might be a new one soon, but this is all we've got for the moment. What is it, Scotty? Tell us all about it.
All right, we've got the sixth album, Nothing as the Ideal, from 2020. They did release, and I know we've talked about this. I don't think we've talked about it on the pod, though. They did release during COVID a series of just like 10 to 12 singles, but that never made it into an album. So, yeah, you're right. As of now, this is the final album, or the most recent album. This one came out September 4th, 2020. Produced by Mikey Allred, who we saw back in the earlier days of All Them Witches. Still on New West label. They recorded this one at Abbey Road, so that's a little fancy. Album artwork, I don't have any of that information, and I'm hoping you do, but I'm going to go ahead and call it on Robbie Stebler.
Certainly is.
And I'm going to go ahead and assume, we're losing Robbie Stebler after this album. And so I'm curious to see what happens to the artwork, because he's been the mainstay there. The lineup for the last time, they're a trio now, which is new. They've always been four. Now they're down to three. We got Charles Michael Parks Jr. on vocals, bass, piano. We got Ben McLeod on guitar, piano. We got Robbie Stebler for the final time, as I just said, on drums, synthesizer. The drummer they're touring with now is a guy by the name of Christian Powers, and I looked up the band and I don't remember the band name. Fortune something. Anyway, that's it. That's everything.
Yeah. A couple of little things to add from me. As always, I've got the CD with me here, a nice little gatefold cardboard number, no lyrics, but they're readily available. What else? We've got, we don't have a dedicated keyboard player here, so that's obviously a big difference from the previous 5 albums. This is their 6th one. But we've got a few extra instrument responsibilities from the remaining 3. So Michael Parks Jr., as well as vocals, bass and guitar, also has loops and piano. Ben McLeod, guitar, resonator, loops and piano. Robbie Stebler is drums, synth, loops and tapes. What all this means, I'm not entirely sure. And yeah, you're right, it was Robbie Stebler on with the album art, but there's also an album art credit to Blackjack Jennings, which is a very cool name. Blackjack Jennings. And Mikey Allred is the producer, but it's All Them Witches are listed as co-producers.
Huh. All right.
Quite a different production sound on this one. I don't know what your thoughts are on the production.
I remember at the end of the last episode, we talked about the fact that they were going down to a 3-piece, and I was kind of, I found myself worried is the wrong word. I wasn't worried. I didn't lose sleep over it, but I was I was afraid that there would be loss in nuance, because I think that the one thing about this band that's really started to develop over the last couple albums is there's so many subtle things that are kind of happening beneath the surface of each song, and I was attributing, I think, a lot of that to the keyboards. So to your point about the production, I feel that none of that nuance was lost. It was all still there. And so they just sort of, and I'll talk about this when we talk about the first song, but there was more layering to the instruments that were already in play.
Yep. Yeah. Just a reminder, listeners, before we push on into speaking about the songs in detail, you should listen to this if you haven't already. We pick good albums on this podcast, and we'd like you to listen along with us. We'd like you to have listened to the album before we dive too deeply further in. So if you haven't listened to Nothing Is the Ideal, even if you don't buy it, it's all the streaming services will have it. So go give it a listen and then come back and join us in a moment. Pause us, put All Them Witches on, and we'll see you in about 45 minutes. But assuming you have by now, listeners, checked it out, let's dive in. If you're new to the show, we have 4 categories of song that we discuss. We discuss the opener, the killer, the grower, and the filler. Hopefully those names are fairly self-explanatory, although filler has been hard to come by with this band. But anyway, we'll see if you got anything when we get to that category. But as always, Scotty, we start with the opener, and it sounds like you got a few things to say about it.
Yeah. First off, is that the sound of an iron lung at the beginning? Is that what I'm hearing?
Oh, I don't know. I never thought about it. It's just sort of an eerie, foreboding sound, but I didn't realize. I never thought about what it could be.
Or it's just the tapes and loops that you were referring to earlier. I like this song. It's a great opener. This band does very well with opening tracks. They do really well with opening tracks and closing tracks, and we'll get to that later too. So off the bat, first song, guitars are layered, and maybe I noticed it more without the keys, but that's where sort of the nuance is coming in that I'm picking up on. It is a good song. I will say though, as much I was, upon further listenings, I found myself kind of ready to just jump into the album. I think maybe I found the opening a little too long and was just like, all right, let's get going here. All Them Witches, and would at times jump ahead to track 2.
Yeah. Okay. I guess I know what you mean, because once you've heard it a few times, you just that minute or so that it takes to get started can can wear thin a little bit. But certainly the first time you hear it, it's very arresting. It grabs you. This is not the first album where the album title is hidden away in the lyrics of the first song. They did it on Sleeping Through the War. That was buried away in the lyrics to Bulls, the opening track. There might have been another one or two as well. Testing my memory. It was a while ago since we did those first few albums. This one has the lyrics, "Nothing, that's the ideal," hidden away there. Speaking of lyrics, there's some really good lyrics on this. As always with this band, "Common Day, Alleyway, Hierophant."
Yeah, I have that marked. What is that? Did you look it up?
No, did you? I thought you're the English teacher.
I know. I didn't. Here I will.
All right, let's Google.
Right.
I have a feeling I've seen it in a game of Civilization. Is that where I would have seen it?
Well, I'll let you know. Yeah, you might have. It's a priest who interprets sacred mysteries or esoteric principles.
No, I don't know. Well,
it's a tarot. Okay. It's a tarot card thing. The Hierophant stands for righteousness, sacredness, hierarchical order, orthodoxy, and moral righteousness. Righteousness is repeated twice.
Okay.
There it is.
All right. Cool. Some good vocabulary building words on this album. Actually, there's a couple more that we can mention later on. I thought it was a really good opening, but yeah, maybe you're right about that first minute or so wearing a little thin after a while. But yeah, sets the tone well as always with this band. Not my killer though.
Nope.
Not
My
yours.
Not mine. I got mine though. My killer. It honestly, it jumped out at me, just right away. First listen. First listen. I
Mm.
was just like, oh, snap. I don't know if that's what the kids are still saying, but I was just like, this. This might be my favorite All Them Witches song. Period.
Right.
It's 41.
Really?
I really, really like that song. Like I kept going back to that song. I love the vocal line. I love the bass line. I love the harmonized vocals on the bridge. Like it all builds into the chorus or the middle eight. I don't even know what it is, but it all just sort of builds up. I really love that song. I even found live versions of the song because some of the sort of the layering that happens in the song, I found myself thinking, is that it? Going back to the production value that you were talking about, just even the harmonizing of the vocals. And so
Mm.
I went to find live versions, and it's just they don't it doesn't the harmonies aren't quite as much as there, but it's punchier. Like the bass is punchier. The drum, like it's cooler live for completely different reasons than the recorded version. Anyway, that's my killer.
So my killer is arguably the odd song out on this album in terms of sound. It's more like their older stuff, and it's not quite as punchy and heavy as some of the newer material here. It's a story of Romulus and Remus. It's called Children of the Coyote Woman, who they've mentioned before, that the old Coyote Woman. So they're bringing her back, and they're talking about her sons, Romulus and Remus, who cause a bit of trouble in some county in the deep south. Love the lyrics on this. Very beautiful song. A sort of southern gothic reworking of the old Roman legend, and some lovely lyrics, including the oubliette of life, which is another little nice touch, I thought. I had to look that one up too. I knew I'd remembered, I'd heard the word before. It means a dungeon,
Hmm.
and it comes from the French word to forget. So I guess you put someone in the dungeon and you forget about them. But they also mentioned the good old boys and Southern County, and then some of the lyrics are incredibly poetic and beautiful. The thunder roaring, a lightning flash, the hurricane being born in the valley. So just a beautiful acoustic-based song that, yeah, that took me back to some of that sort of Southern Gothic, Deep South stuff from their earlier albums. And as much as I like the heavier stuff, this one's stood out as my favourite for its sort of atmospheric nature, the rain effects in the last minute or two. Just a beautiful song.
We haven't seen Coyote Woman since Lightning at the Door, right? Where she was married and then died.
Yeah, I think that was it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So before we started recording, I told you that I had two growers and I wasn't sure which one to talk about. Children of
Yes.
Coyote Woman was one of them. So I'll talk about my
Okay.
other one. But just to add to Children of Coyote Woman, just I can't. I like the way that you described it as Southern Gothic because I was sort of fixating on that, the story of Romulus and Remus and the fact that this song felt more Smoky Mountains than Italian.
Mm.
Um, there's the slide guitar in this song, and there's just sort of that picking rhythm that's happening at the sort of as the foundation, and that slide guitar just kind of rises above and comes in and out in crescendos and decrescendos, which again, just to the production value, the layers that are still at play here. All right, so then I guess I'll go with "See You Next Fall" as my grower, which
Okay.
I thought was timely, just because wasn't like our last conversation we talked about the difference between fall and autumn, and
Yes.
I don't know, it's timely that this came up.
Yep.
Anyway, yeah, so we say hi to Mandy at the beginning. No idea who Mandy is, but hi, Mandy.
Or
Um,
Adam.
oh, is it Adam?
There's Adam and Mandy, and then they'd cut the M off Mandy. There's an Andy in there, I think.
Oh, all right. Uh,
But yeah, Mandy's the main one.
I like there's the vocal line when he starts singing and the way it interplays with the way that the guitar is sort of riding on that single note and the bass and the drums are just sort of worked into this groove. It's almost like you've got sort of when you walk into a room and you start band practice and everybody's kind of just sort of messing about doing their own thing, and then everybody all of a sudden it just that magical moment where everything sort of melds together and you're like, oh, we got something here. It feels like you're just finding everything come together, and I like how it all sort of builds in. Of course, it wasn't haphazard. I mean, it was very intentionally done. And then it just the song throughout is very hypnotic for 9 minutes and 50 seconds.
This reminded me a little bit of Diamond off the previous album, the way it sort of builds up piece by piece, and the sort of patience of it all. Once again, the drums really caught my ear. The sound, the production values on those drums, beautifully recorded. And I thought maybe, we've spoken about the influences, different influences. I thought there's some new influences here that I hadn't really noticed before. Bands like Pink Floyd and Radiohead, in that sort of quite the way it's quite cinematic almost. The sort of I don't know. There's some effects in there. The space. It's almost something that belongs in a big space. That in the same way that Pink Floyd or Radiohead can fill a big space without yelling and screaming. Some nice lyrics. The world of demigods. I like that one. Speaking of lyrics, they also mentioned grinding teeth, which I think the tooth grinding has been mentioned in about 2 or 3 songs previously. So I'm wondering if one of them suffers from bruxism. Maybe their dentist has been on their case. Maybe they've been asked to wear one of those things at night to protect their teeth. I'm not sure. But for whatever reason, that seems to be a common theme. Lovely crescendos and then softer moments throughout. And the drumming performance on this was a standout to me. The use of the hi-hats, the way it switches from open to closed hi-hats. And then at the end, this massive Jimi Hendrix moment where the drumming sort of takes over and very much reminded me of the Merman song off Electric Ladyland there towards the end. And they actually finished this well for once. I quite like the ending. Sometimes some of their longer songs have just petered out in the past, but this one actually, I quite like the sort of drum-driven finish to this, the big drum climax. So great song, great choice. So that was your grower. Nice one. Filler.
Well, so
Unless you...
oh
Yeah,
no,
unless
no,
you
no, no.
got...
I was only just gonna say that just because my notable lyrics you just touched on, and so
Yep.
my notable lyrics was where it says I'm not grinding my teeth, I'm not lying awake from that song, and I think the reason that stuck out to me is because I'm definitely doing both. I'm definitely grinding my teeth and lying awake, and so as I was like, shoot, I'm not. I wish I wasn't either. So anyway, that was it. That was my notable lyrics. You had already talked about it, so I thought I'd jump into it.
Hope you don't have dragons to slay.
My filler, I don't have a filler. I do have an interlude, so I retitled it. It's Everest.
Yeah.
It's I don't know. It's pretty. It's short. It's kind of short and done. I mean, it's 2 minutes. I guess it's not that short. I don't. I don't understand why, but it's pretty, and mine is not to question why. I guess.
Yeah.
Um,
Filler is probably a little bit of a harsh word for it, but I know what you mean. It is maybe a bit of a throwaway track, but I don't mind the way it breaks up the first side of the album, because Enemy of My Enemy is quite a heavy song, and then you've got this classic CNX Fall. I like the placing of Everest between those two,
hmm.
but yeah, maybe it's a little bit. I don't know. I don't know what it is. But I don't mind it. It's not. It's not. I wouldn't call it filler, but it's certainly the most throwaway-ish track on the album. Yeah. Okay. All right. So they're the big four categories of songs. Now we move into some of our special moments on the album that caught our attention. The standout moment is the first one we're going to do. And I'm going to lead off with this one because the standout moment on this for me was far and away, and I think the standout moment on across the whole six albums was the second half of Rats in Ruin, um, which is a really beautiful song, but it's like two songs in one. This sort of sad or tragic dirge, the first half of it, and then the whole thing sort of stops, and then the second half is purely instrumental, and it's astounding. I'm not sure we've used the word soaring much with this band, unlike some other bands in the past, but this is a sort of big post rock, just glorious outro. And it's very uplifting, especially after the sad first half of this song. Very beautiful way to finish the album, and to this point, the band's catalogue. So, yeah, the second half of Rats in Ruin is fantastic and my clear standout moment.
Yeah, no, it's also my standout moment. And what's funny is I'm looking at my notes and you used all the exact same words I used. Soaring, post rock, beautiful. I think it's the perfect closer to the album. You were talking earlier about the influences and how you felt some like Pink Floyd slipping in. And I was thinking Pink Floyd, Explosions in the Sky. Um, yeah. And even just a touch with the tonality maybe of like Lord Huron, which they're maybe a little poppier, but I definitely heard just other familiar sounds coming through. But anyway, I agree. That was my standout moment as well.
Yeah. So the next category is notable lyrics. You got anything? There's a lot on this, but what have you picked, Scott?
I already shared mine. It was the I'm not grinding my teeth, I'm not lying awake.
Ah, yeah. Okay. Very. You can relate to that very personally because you
Yes.
are.
A tooth grinder who's wide awake.
Oh, I don't know. We've probably mentioned mine. I don't. I just still need to pick. Is it the Hierophant or the Oubliette? In fact, it's probably something from the Coyote Woman song. Probably the hurricane being born in the valley. I don't know. There was a lot of beautiful imagery in that. The good old boys in Southern County, and the hurricane being born in the valley again was mine. What's our next category? You're going to have to guide me through this because I've
I'm
closed all my tabs.
all right. I got you. Band Brownlow.
Oh, we're up to that already.
We are up to that.
Okay.
no,
The good thing about the Band Brownlow this time is we've only got three of them, so no one's going to miss out.
it's true. Everybody wins.
Yes. My three votes, best on ground, is hardly going to be a surprise given what I've said so far. It's the drummer. The drums on this are great. And a big step up in terms of sound from the drumming, and also a little change in style. I thought less jazzy, a bit more Danny Carey, a bit less Ginger Baker. I don't know. Really like the drums on this album. So yeah, and it's his last. You're telling me it's his last performance.
That's what they're saying.
So he goes out on a bit of a high. Mr. Stabler, Robbie Stabler. Um, I think the bass carries a lot of the really good moments on this album, including we spoke a lot about See You Next Fall. That's a very bass driven song, and there's a couple of others on the album too. So I'm going to give bass and lovely vocal performance too. So Michael Parks Jr. gets my two votes. And I mean, Ben McLeod, very unlucky because he's so good on this album too. But he only gets one from me on this occasion.
All right. My best on ground is going probably shocker of shockers to the bass.
Hey,
It's-
take a drink, everyone.
he brings it. He brings it. I don't just give this out. You got to earn it. My two vote goes to Ben McLeod. I love I'm finding that so much of what I'm talking about here are just sort of the things that he's doing with the guitars, right? The picking and the slide, and Anyway, and then Stebler gets my one vote, which, sorry to send him out with one vote, but yeah, so that's kind of how that works.
Okay.
So we've got. I was just doing the math while I was doing all of this, and
Yeah.
we have a winner.
Right.
It
Do tell.
is, yeah, I'm getting there. I'm just trying to. There we go. All right. It was, if you, I don't know if you were all waiting on bated breath, but coming out of all them witches, Ben McLeod and Charles Michael Parks were tied with 19 votes each. We end this, what, 6 album run, and Charles Michael Parks Jr. has eked out a win above Ben McLeod,
Woo!
24-22. Robbie Stebler at 17, and it looks like he's going to hold at 17 because we're done.
He's
But
done.
we'll see what happens between Charles Michael Parks Jr. and Ben McLeod in our next meeting, whenever
Who was
that
the
may be.
keyboardist that got one vote on the last album?
Oh, that was Jonathan Draper.
Okay, yeah. Well done to him too.
Well done to Jonathan Draper.
And Mr. Van Cleve might have got a couple earlier on.
Van Cleve, 7. That's a respectable showing.
Yeah, not bad. On 4 albums.
4 albums.
Yeah. For a keyboard player. I mean, come on.
Yeah. And that takes us, if your notes are still closed, we've got our monthly, what'd you call it? You had a name for it.
Thing to talk about.
Yeah, you had a name for it.
I don't know. Discussion thing.
I thought you had it. Damn it. We got to, okay, we're working on that. Reader or listener, you weigh in. Give us a name for this. I don't know. Something to talk about. All right, and the one that was presented was the best 4-album stretch of any heavy band, and we welcome our listener to contribute, and he has done so. So, best 4-album stretch of any heavy band, I believe, was the titling of this. Do we want to start, or do we start with Metal Mayor Matt?
So yeah, I'll start and then I'll look up Matt's email while you're giving yours. So I think the first 4-album stretch. So we're talking 4 consecutive albums here.
Yes.
What's the best 4-album run from any band? And I think most metalheads would probably, the first 4-album stretch most metalheads would reach for would be the first 4 Metallica albums.
Yeah, I had that.
Is that your choice?
No, I have a lot of choices. Was I supposed to narrow it down to 1?
Yeah.
Oh, shoot. I have like 15.
All right. So that popped into my head as the obvious one.
All right.
I don't often like to. You're going to have to pick one, by the way. You can't.
All right.
You can talk about. You can talk through the ones.
Damn, I'm ready for a whole nother episode.
Yeah, we might need one. Black Sabbath was the next band that jumped to mind. I don't know.
See, I had Black Sabbath, but then I thought, because I love Bloody Sabbath, which I wanted to put in there, and I find that one better than Volume 4, so I felt like, was I cheating?
So, let me think. What's their full discography? So it's Black Sabbath, then Paranoid,
Master of Reality, Volume
4,
and then Sabbath.
And then Sabotage. Because I think I'd go, I want to end it with Sabotage. I would say my favourite 4 albums of theirs would be Master of Reality, Master of Reality, Volume 4, Sabbath Bloody Sabbath, Sabotage.
Okay.
And that's pretty hard to beat. And that was in the early 70s that were putting that stuff out. I mean, that's incredible.
Yeah.
So that one was another one that jumped to mind. The reason this topic came into my head was because you mentioned you were going to see Tool. And you don't often think of them as having 4 great consecutive albums because the albums are so far apart.
If you're making me pick one, though, that's my one.
Oh, that would be a 1.
I don't think there's a skippable track on any of those 4. I mean, that's not true.
So which 4?
There's like Lateralis has the little bleeps and bloops and stuff in there that you kind of
Mm.
pass over. But it's,
So
I
you're going
mean,
Anima
Undertow,
Lateralis,
Anima, Lateralis, 10,000 days.
not Fear Inoculum, because I would have gone.
Well, I would go Fear Inoculum if I get 5. Like,
No, you only get 4.
I think so. Or I could start with Anima Lateralis, 10,000 days, and Fear Inoculum. I mean, I could go anywhere with that. I think that
Yeah,
all 5, that's a band, and they take all that time, but every single album is just tight.
yeah, they're amazing. I would have gone Anima. So that was another one that sprung to mind as just a great 4-album stretch. Anima Lateralis, 10,000 Days, and then 13 years later, Fear Inoculum.
Yeah.
So they were the big ones that jumped out in my mind. The one I've settled on, and you can only have one,
All right.
is Metallica, but not the 4-album stretch starting with Kill 'Em All.
Oh.
It is. Get ready
Oh.
for it.
I'm sitting down.
Lulu. No, not Lulu. It is Master of Puppets and Justice for All, Black Album, Load.
Wow.
Which are 4 really different albums. And I think that's why I've given them the title. The fact that they've gone from classic thrash to this progressive thrash nightmare to a really tight, punchy metal album to whatever the hell Load is, a sort of stoner rock,
Ah.
cowboy, western hybrid.
Ah.
Um,
I love when you're wrong.
I really like Load. Anyway, what do you got?
I mean, I think I have to go Tool.
Yeah.
I had some like nostalgia in there, and you went Metallica, and I went Testament, The New Order, Practice What You Preach, Souls of Black, The Ritual. I think we were just talking about Testament, or I was talking about Testament. Oh, I was talking about Testament with Metal Mayor Matt because they have a new album that came out. The Queens of the Stone Age. I love their first 4, but then I also love their last 3, like Clockwork Villains and In Times New Roman. It's really only that one album, Era Vulgaris, that I don't really care for. I thought Pantera. The odd man out on all of this was Danzig. I was going through my collection, and I remember there's the first Danzig, and this can be you enjoying me being wrong. The first Danzig album, Danzig 2 Lucifage, and then in between Danzig 2 and Danzig 3, which I also like Danzig 3, he did that Black Aria weird synth goth album that
Jesus. I
would,
don't know if
like,
they've even heard that.
I remember when I first heard it, it blew me away. This was like 1992, and I was just like, what is this? This is awesome. I don't think I've listened to it since, but I'm just sort of like there was a time where those 4 albums just grabbed me.
I have never heard that, and I really like Danzig, and I've never heard that thing you just mentioned. So we're going to have to find a link to that, put it on the show notes. That sounds intriguing.
Yeah. But I'll go with Tool. I'm going to land on Tool.
Okay. Just to fill you in on Metal Mayor Matt's choice, he gave it a lot of thought, and he came up with Pantera. You mentioned them. Cowboys from Hell, Vulgar Display of Power, Far Beyond Driven, and The Great Southern Trendkill. He picked them because a lot of metal got softer and more commercial during this time period, including probably the band that I mentioned. But Pantera got heavier with each album, and they kept metal alive and in the spotlight when metal seemed to be dying out. There are a lot of great 4-album runs from many bands, including Metallica, probably not the 4 that I mentioned, Candlemass, Fate's Warning, Caius. See, I only really think of them as having 3 great albums, but there you go. I suppose he's including the first one, Strapping Young Lad, which I never really listened to.
Strapping Young Lad. Huh.
Yeah. Testament, there you go, he mentioned them. Iron Maiden and Tool, he mentioned Tool, so there's a little bit of crossover with some of the things we've mentioned.
The thing about your Metallica with the Black Album, and kind of going to what he was saying with Pantera, is what I think the Black Album did was really important in how it sort of opened the doors and invited more people into metal. Like
Mm,
the Black Album was kind of an amazing gateway drug to the world of metal, right? I mean, sorry,
mm,
you got in, and then you're like, well, what else did they do? And then it just
mm.
sort of opens everything up from there.
Yeah. And everyone has their gateway, but yeah, that would have been a gateway for a lot of people, and arguably Load as well. Um, so yeah, I just like the fact that such a big band was
Yeah,
willing to just completely
take that chance.
reinvent themselves again and again,
Yeah, no, fair,
um, mm.
fair.
and do it well. Like I really like Load, but anyway, maybe that's just me.
No, I do too.
They've been touring Australia actually, Metallica. I've had mates go and see them. A couple went to the Brisbane, Melbourne gig, and then another mate went and saw them in Brisbane. So I think they're still in good form. And they do mix up their set lists a bit too, which I really like. From a
Yeah, that
big band, I think
72
it's
Seasons tour seemed pretty intense.
yeah. Well, I think it's still technically that it's still touring on that album with the yellow stage and the big yellow beach balls and stuff. But only playing once in each city. They were playing 2 gigs in each city and having a completely different set list each night, but
Hmm.
not in Australia. We also saw AC/DC in Melbourne. They played in Melbourne recently, and they filled the MCG, which holds 100,000 people.
By the way, I heard that it registered on the Richter scale.
Yeah, it caused an earthquake.
I have ACDC on my list as well.
Yep. Which four?
Powerage, Highway to Hell, Back in Black, and For Those About to Rock.
For those about to rock. Okay.
That's probably the one that would get. But I like For Those About to Rock better than the one. What was the one before Powerage?
Highway.
No,
Was it?
Highway to Hell was after. Let
So
There
it would
Be.
have been.
It's Let There Be Rock.
Oh, you don't like that?
I like For Those About to Rock better.
Okay, you're allowed to like it. Let there be rock. Okay. So it was just to jog my own memory. High voltage, TNT, Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap, Let There Be Rock, Power Age, Highway to Hell, Back in Black, and For Those About to Rock, Back in Black. What an
I'm,
album.
I'm looking at Let There Be Rock and For Those About to Rock right now, and I'm changing my mind right here live on air because I'm really it's got a whole lot of Rosie.
Mm.
I don't know. Anyway, that's why I didn't pick ACDC, so I don't have to
Yeah.
argue for this. We have to go back and pick up some albums before we start our next band run. Do we want to do that?
Yeah, I'm happy to go with Skeletor or whatever it's called, the latest Ghost album that came out a few months ago now.
Yeah. What
Uh,
is there anything
Back in
else?
April, I think. Nothing that I can think of that. I mean, we had picked eons ago. We'd picked Tame Impala as a potential
Oh yeah.
next band, but I think I'm happy to reconsider that. But
Okay.
while Ghost is sitting there, I think let's go for that.
Okay.
Um, if you are okay with that, we'll
Mm-hmm.
clear that off the books. I don't think any other bands have put out. There might even be an All Them Witches album by the time we get through Ghost. We'll see. We'll see about that.
Mm.
Otherwise, we can just pick something else. I don't know if I'm as keen to go with Tame Impala now as I was before. So let's do Ghost, and we'll think about what's next after that.
Sounds good.
All right, listeners. So that's your job and ours is to now go and chase down the latest Ghost album and spend the next few weeks or months, depending on how long it takes,
It won't take that long.
listening intently, which is what we're all about. Intentional listening, band by band, album by album. Do it. You should be able to ask someone 2 questions that they should be able to give you an answer to. What book are you reading? And what album are you listening to? And we shouldn't be jumping around from song to song, random shuffle, all that nonsense. Pick an album and stick to it.
Mm.
That's our motto. Speaking of which, what book are you reading?
Northwoods.
What's that?
It's I can't think of the name of the author. It's a book about basically a plot of land as the character. This plot of land in western Massachusetts, and the book starts with like this Native American uprising, and a person dies, and an apple tree grows out of their sternum, and it's all the people that then sort of lived on and harvested that land for the next several generations.
Wow. Sounds like it could have an All Them Witches soundtrack.
It could, actually. It totally could.
Yeah. I just finished some science fiction, The Three-Body Problem, the first of the trilogy. Have you read that?
Yep. I read that when we were in Jakarta.
Oh, right. Okay. So I'm now contemplating move on to the second one in the series, but really good.
Mm-hmm.
Took me a while to get the hang of it, but yeah, excellent. Great, hard science fiction. Like there's a lot of science in there, and but done really well.
Yeah. I think he's a physicist, right? I mean, and he incorporates that heavily.
Yeah. He doesn't shy away from it, but it never gets overbearing. It's just really interesting.
Yeah.
I think there's a Netflix series about that. I'll try and avoid that at all costs. But yeah, go find a book to read, listeners, and also you've got the album now. Join us with that one, Scalita from Ghost. I did see him on the tour, so I've heard a couple of songs. Although I've completely forgotten them now, but be interesting. Loved their last couple of albums. They're getting really beautifully produced, great sound. So I expect more of that.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely ready to dive in. I really liked the last album, so I'm got a high bar here.
Yep, me too. All right, fingers crossed for that one. We'll catch up sometime, hopefully during the festive season, if not soon after.
I don't know if anybody heard that beep, but I just got alerted that my fantasy football team might eke out a win this week.
Oh, it's only early days.
If anybody heard the beep, I know, but I've been down. I was going to get killed all week, and now all of a sudden I'm 51% projected to win. Early
51%.
51%. But I've been down in the 30s. I've been down
You're
in
celebrating.
the 30s.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
You don't have AJ Brown, do you?
No, I don't.
Okay. He's been horrible this year. I think he's finally scored this game.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fascinating stuff.
Yeah.
All right. Well, happy Thanksgiving to you too, Scott.
Oh, well, thank you. Happy Thanksgiving.
I know you guys love that. Our kids have been celebrating with a couple of days off school as we get towards the end of fall.
Yes, sir. It's coming up. 'Tis the season, right around the corner. I would like to see if we could knock out this Ghost one before Christmas, if that's doable.
Yeah, it should be right. I'll take my microphone to Bologna, and we might be able to sneak one in there somewhere.
Nice.
Sounds good.
All right.
Yeah, lovely to chat.
Good to see you.
And thanks, listeners.